Hey y'all, Dennis here, Muddy Water Search and Recovery. And this video is a little different, but I feel it's important to make sure that you guys are aware of our structure, how we actually do things. I done a video on this early on in our channel, but we have had so many new followers, not only here on YouTube, but across social media as well. We appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for being here. And I just want to kind of go over how we actually operate. And I'm going to start with the cases in general. How we get new cases. Many of these cases come from you guys. You guys ask us to look into a case. And we've stated at the very beginning, we will not turn away a case. We will do everything that we can to try to help in any case that comes our way. And many of these cases have come from you guys reaching out to us. A lot of these cases, family members have reached out to us and asked us to look into their cases. And we jump into each one of those. And then there are the cases that occasionally we will come across. Kansas Missing and Unsolved. I consider these guys friends, very good guys. They do incredible work over there. We mention them quite a bit on here. I met them through Facebook, their Facebook page, Kansas Missing and Unsolved. They do a weekly live podcast on there. I believe they do it every Tuesday night and Thursday night. Ricky, if you see this, please correct me if I'm wrong on that. But incredible work on there, and some of the cases that they cover on their podcast, we will dig into and see what we can do to get out and do the searches on those cases. I know Kenny Riachek is one of them that come from their channel, and we will be doing searches in the coming days for Kenny. And there's a chance that Kansas Missing and Unsolved may be joining us on those searches. But this is basically where our cases come to us. And like I said, any case that comes to us, we're not going to turn it away. We're going to look into it, do everything that we can to help with that. And to start off with, we begin with our open source investigation. What open source investigation means is we use whatever tools are available that has public information. And this also includes word of mouth. Anything anybody wants to share with us, be it thoughts and theories, be it a family member wanting to give us certain details. Now, speaking of the family members, one way we are set up a little different than other teams that you see on YouTube and other platforms. We don't continually contact the family members for information. This is why we do the open source investigation. Number one, so we're not adding more of a burden to the families by depending on them for all of the information, are dependent on them to find locations for us. We do the open source investigation to cover that. If they do want to share information with us, absolutely, we will listen, and that will be taken into consideration with the information we are finding. But we do not lean on the families and add that extra burden for them to keep us provided with details. And we have a lot of open source investigative tools that we do use. And just to name some of those, obviously Google search, you can find out a lot of information. Social media is another big one. We do like to use Google Earth, as many of you do. But I also use the HuntStand app. HuntStand was made for basically what it says, hunting. It does have the satellite imagery you can use, and it also has the tools that you can mark different locations. You can put in information about that particular location. So we use that to mark off our search areas. We're able to color code those to where, green means this area has not been searched. Yellow could be that we've searched it, but it is not cleared. We need to continue searching that. Red could be that area has been completely cleared, and so on. We could even put details into that as of what we've seen on that property or what tools we think we're going to need on that property, etc. But we have a whole list of online tools that we do use to gather information on these cases. And our objectives with using open source investigation is not so much to focus on finding the guilty party in a missing persons case. We do have to look at that as far as to gather the theories to help narrow down search locations. But finding the search locations is our main objective using the open source investigation tools. This, Randy Leach, this case in particular, there are so many theories out there on this case, but the locations is all very centered for the most part. And with a new theory, I don't want to say new theory, but with the theory that's going around that's really catching my attention, and Megan had brought it up to me early on in our investigation on this case, could have Randy going in a complete different direction than what the searches have really been focused on. And, you know, it's things like that tools such as Google Earth is so vital, because we're able to expand out and look for search locations that we may not have thought of, if I can get this out correct. And there's other cases the same way that, you know, we had to expand out to look at these other locations that are possible. So these tools are very, very essential, and that is why we use open source investigation, is to find these locations that have not been searched and cleared to be able to go on and do those searches. And I've had people ask, you know, why don't you share the locations you're actually going to search and when you're going to be there, etc. When we first started, we done that. We would say, you know, this coming weekend, we're going to be at this particular location at this time, searching this area. And many of you reached out to us, and I'm so thankful you did, because it's stuff we did not consider. Is number one, with doing that, if it is a foul play case, then if the guilty party sees this, they're going to know where you're going to be, what you're looking for, what time you're going to be there. And this gives them a time frame that evidence could actually be removed from that property. And then number two, obviously, was the whole safety aspect of that. So we no longer released our actual search locations or the exact plans and dates and times until after the search is complete. And we have had some other issues with releasing the property, etc., that kind of helped push us to this, but we no longer will share that information until after the search is complete, and then obviously we will be bringing that directly to you. Now, once a property of interest has been located, usually Google Earth or a location that one of you reach out to us with that you would like to see us search, some of the things we've got to initially do is figure out, is this public property or is it private property? The difference is public property, we can go out and search. Private property, we do have to have the property owner's permission before we can do the search. So if it is private property, then we need to find the property owner's contact information, see if they actually live on that piece of property or if they live elsewhere, to be able to get in touch with them to see if we can get permission to search that. After we have the owner's information, We will then use Google Earth and do a satellite search, what we call it, of that property that is going to help us determine where on this property needs to be searched, what type of search, what tools are we going to need. We make a list, all of that. We transfer all of that over to the Hunt Stand app so we know what we're looking at. We can just click on the little icon and it'll tell us everything we know about that piece of property. At this point, if it is private property, and after we've done all of the work that we can do from home on it, we will then drive by the property to kind of get a look of it from the outside to see on the ground what we're looking at and determine, again, confirm the type of searches we need to do, be it water sonar, be it GPR, etc. And look at the obstacles we may face on that property and determine access areas. And also see if we can, well, this is more for the public, but basically see, if the landowner lives there, we're going to be able to know for sure at that point that yes, they do still live here. We know who we're going to need to talk to, etc. Public property on our initial drive-by, we will actually go to the location, determine the access, and we will actually go on in at that point. And along the same lines, we're looking for what type of searches we're going to be doing, what equipment we are going to need there, obviously the access spots. Then we're going to determine what we call soft spots, which is dangerous areas or objects. If it's, say, the Kansas River, for example, if it's along the banks, if there's sand there, is that sand safe to walk on? Do we need probes, etc., metal detectors, whatever. So we're able to gather all of this information at that point in time, confirm the searches that need to take place and the equipment needed. And then we will actually do what we call a naked eye search, where we will walk around and just look to see what we can see with the naked eye before bringing the equipment out. And we will take photographs and video if possible while we're doing this. At this point, we go into our preparations for the search. We will come back, we will go over our list of gear that we determined that we needed. We will start getting that all together. If we need to call others in to assist us with that search, we will then make those calls, have all the gear loaded. Then we will have everybody that's going to be involved in that search get with us for a meeting where we go over our initial search plan. Keeping in mind your initial search plan and the actual search, a lot of times those plans change while you're in the field, but we do begin with an initial search plan, and we always go over our safety measures. Safety is priority on a search, so we do go over our safety measures at this point, and we also go over our safety measures again when we are on location right before we begin our search. And then when it comes to the search, if it is private property, we will ask permission from the property owner if needed. The reason we wait until we're ready to do the search to ask permission is some property owners, if you ask permission today and they grant it, but you go next week to do the search, they may have changed their mind about letting people on their property. So if you get permission and you go straight in and do the search, it kind of eliminates that risk. So we get permission from the property owner if needed. If this is going to be a big search, we will set up a small command center where our search is operated out from, and we will always have at least 1 or 2 people at the command center at all times. And at this point, we will once again go over our safety measures and the search plan at that point. then we will execute the searches. If we do find something and we need to notify law enforcement, we will be doing that, and of course standing by to offer assistance to them. If nothing is found on that piece of property, then we would gather back at either the command center or at the vehicle and go over the search, then discuss it and determine if we feel that area is cleared or if it needs more searching. Then we will pack up the gear and leave out. When we get home, everybody that was on the search is asked to fill out a search report, and that'll all come back into us, and we will meet the next day to discuss the entire search efforts. We will go over the search reports, etc., to officially determine, if nothing was found, is this property cleared? Do we need to go back out and search something different? Did we miss something? Could we have missed something, etc.? And once that meeting is done, then it will be jumping on and getting that search video released out to you guys. So this is basically our structure, how we're set up to do this. And obviously, Megan, Chrissy, and myself are the three main people of Muddy Water Search and Recovery. I do have several people we can call in to assist if needed. There's also, out in Colorado, there is Justice Takes Flight. It's a K-9 search team organization that if we're doing a search in Colorado or Nebraska, something along those lines, we can get in contact with them, and they will see about getting a K-9 team out with us to do those searches. There's other teams that we could call in different areas to assist with searches. Some of these we will be working with later this year, and I'm looking forward to that, and we'll be making more announcements on that later this year. But I just kind of wanted to go over our structure again with you. We're not private investigators. We're not licensed private investigators. Open source investigation, you do not need a license to do that, being that everything that you are looking at to find information is public information. So you do not need a license for that. You do not need a license to go out and run a sonar in your boat. You do not need a license to go out and search properties. I will say there is some public property that you may need to contact Fish and Game or the property manager to get what's called a special event permit to do the search there. That's not always required. There is some areas that is. If that is the case in one of our searches, we will absolutely be filling out the application, getting that special event permit to be able to do that search. Those will likely be the bigger searches that we do on public land. Private land, obviously, all you need is the landowner's permission. Public land, you cannot dig on public land without the special permit. We've got no plans to dig anyway. If you're using ground penetrating radar and you come across what you feel is human remains, obviously you're not going to want to start digging that. You will want to notify law enforcement immediately, get them out, turn that scene over to them. So we stay on top of the laws with this to ensure that we are acting fully within the law. And as far as our structure, how we operate, this is it. If you have any questions on this, comments, concerns, please reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to discuss it with you. As always, my contact information is down in the video description. So with that, I hope this helps everyone understand a little bit more about how we are set up and how we go about doing what we do. So with that, until next time, you guys stay safe. Let's bring some more of these people home.